Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock on a Monday, which means it's time for a 5x5. Now, this is where I take 5 subjects related to magic. I spend 5 minutes talking about each subject. I move on to the next subject. It's always quick. It's always snappy. You never know what you're going to get. Now, today, I'm going to be talking about Mindblox. This is Mindblox. This is the Blockology deck. This was released at Blackpool Magic Convention 2023 and it 24 this year, a couple of months ago. It was released a couple of months ago and it has been very, very popular. The amount of people that have contacted me saying that they use Mindblox all of the time in every gig that they do. I'm a huge fan of Mindblox. I think it's gone under the radar slightly because it came out at the same time as Evoke, but I know so many people are using this, and it's not just a tool for family entertainers. A lot of people think Lego, it's just for kids. It's really not. It's something that you can perform, and I do perform in corporate events all of the time. Anyway, for those of you that know me well enough will know that I'm always constantly working on something. I'm always constantly working on my older projects. Just because I've released something, it doesn't mean I stop work on it. And since Blackpool, I've put together 5 new routines with the Blockology deck. 5 new routines with Mindblox. Well, I say 5. I've put together 4, and then Josh Birch showed me a handling for one of the gimmick cards you get with Blockology, which Mindblox, which I think is one of the best handlings and one of the best things that you can do with this deck. So I thought that the easiest way to get this out to you guys is to do a 5x5 tutorial special on these 5 routines with Mindblox. So if you are a Mindblox user, you can do this immediately. They're all self-working. They're all very, very easy to do. I'm going to explain how they're all done. I'm not going to go into too much detail as to how the Blockology deck works. You kind of already know that. It's a Svengali deck. It's all based around Lego. It's built by Phil Smith. There's a incredibly simple marking system in there that allows you to know what every card is they've taken. There's a number force in there. There's a bunch of information, right? Only one of the routines use the markings in this. There's some really fun routines that you can actually do with the Mindblox deck. So if you've bought the Mindblox and you've worked your way through your tutorial and you want to do some more routines, this is the video to watch. And if you've never seen Mindblox before, we did put a Mindblox exposed video up about 3 or 4 months ago. I'm sure that Michael can link that in the description above. So if that goes through live performances of several of the routines that was on the original project, as well as exactly what this deck is, and we kind of go into it in more detail. So you can go and have a look at that. The link is in the description above. But this video is really to just teach you guys 5 new tricks with Blockology with Mindblox. And as I come up with more routines, I will do more videos like this as well. So if you haven't got Mindblox, you can go and buy it from all good Magic dealers. It's obviously a Penguin item. You can get it directly from Penguin. We have it in the Magic TV shop as well, or there's other Magic dealers that have it as well. But without further ado, we're going to go performance explanation. So we're going to start with the performance, then an explanation. We'll do that 5 times. That way you get to see exactly what it looks like. So without further ado, we're going to start off with the first routine, which is a book test. It's a way of doing a book test with Mindblox. Sounds weird? Watch this. I got a few things for you. Now, the first thing I've got is a prediction. That's why I wrote prediction on this envelope. This prediction is going to be here with you, and I'm not going to touch it. I want you to remember, before I did anything, I gave you that prediction. Now, this morning, before I came to work, I went into Ryland's bedroom and I stole some of his stuff. I know it's weird. First thing I did is I took a book, and this is called Sammy Rambles and the Fires of Carmador. Now, it's by J.T. Scott. This is one of Ryland's favourite authors. The Sammy Rambles series is actually really good. She's an independent author, and he's got all of her books. It's really good, really, really good actually. This is about dragons. It's a little bit like Harry Potter. It's very, very good. She's actually signed this one. Anyway, I got this book because it's got a lot of pages. It's got about 400 odd pages. There's thousands of words in this book. Okay, so hopefully you won't realise I've taken it. You can hold on to that. The other thing I got is this. I stole this from him as well. Ryland's into Lego. You into Lego?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Were you?
When I was a kid, yeah.
Did you ever go to Legoland?
No.
No. Okay, so Ryland's been to Legoland in Windsor a couple of times. We got this last time we went. It's basically a pack of cards, but they're not playing cards. What they are, in essence, is they're the best Lego sets of all time. These are apparently the most popular Lego sets of all time. So Maybe when you were a kid and you built Lego, you maybe built a Voyager spacecraft or a luxury yacht or a hospital. Who knows? I don't know. But these are the most popular Lego sets of all time. Now, the reason I brought this deck of cards with me is I want to have you go to a random page in this book, and I want you to go to a random line and look at a random word. The problem is, if I had you think of a number from 1 to 400, psychologically there's certain numbers that people will go for, and also maybe I could have stalked your Facebook profile and I could have worked out what your favorite number is. So a lot of people's favorite numbers are based on their date of birth. If I riffled through the book and I had you say stop, a lot of people will stop roughly in around about the middle. So I figured the most random way to arrive at a completely random page and a really random number is to use these cards, because every single one of these cards has got a piece number. This is the amount of pieces that make up this particular Lego set. So in here there's 96 pieces, 349, 100, you get the idea. That's 500 odd, that's 800 odd, 900 odd, 400 odd. They're all completely different, right? Mm-hmm. What I thought we'd do, and let me explain, you take these cards and give them a shuffle. I'll take these and give them a shuffle. In a second, you're going to take 2 cards at random. That's okay, don't worry. In a second, you're going to take 2 cards at random. One of the cards is going to be used to create a random page number, and the other card is going to be used to create a random line on that page. Random page number, and the other one's going to be a random line on that page. Okay, so we'll spread these out, and if you finish shuffling, good stuff, we'll spread these out. So these cards here, this is going to be the page number. So in a second, you're going to take one of those cards at random, whichever card you take, you're going to look at that number, and that's going to tell you the page number you're going to turn to. Now, there are some cards that have pieces of more than 400. If you get a card with more than 400 pieces on it, put it back and take a different one. You want to make sure you've got less than 400, because there's only 400 pages in the book. This one here, you're going to take a card from here as well. This is going to work out the line number. What you're going to do is you're going to take a card, and however many pieces you are, you're going to add up the individual digits, which is normally 2 or 3 digits. So if it said 112, you'd add 1, add 2, and that would be 4. So that would be the 4th line down. Yep. That way we're going to get a random line, we're going to get a random page, and it is completely random. Okay. So first of all, let's go for the line. So take any one of those. Actually, let's go for the line first. Take any one of those.
Let's go with the last one.
Okay, and what I want you to do is look at that page number, the total number of pieces, and add those individual digits together.
Yep.
Have you done that?
Yep.
Great. Pop it back somewhere. I could not know what page number you're thinking of right now. What line number you're thinking of right now, could I? Now let's go for the page number. You're going to take one of these, and whichever one you take, that's going to be your page number. Okay, so take any one out that you want. It's totally up to you. You sure you want that one?
Yeah.
Okay, is it less than 400?
It is.
Great, perfect. Can you remember that page number?
Yeah.
So now what we have is we have a random page number that no one could have influenced, and you have a random line. Now in a second, I'm going to look over here. You're going to go to that page number. When you've got that page number, you're going to count down to that line. So if you were thinking of line number 5, for example, you count down to line 5, and you'd look at the first word on that line, the very first word on that line. Okay, so if you do that, so first of all, turn to the page number. And while you're doing that, let me just recap for a second. What we have here is completely impossible. You shuffled the cards. You took any card out that you wanted to. If you'd taken a different card, you would have ended up with a different page number. And you could have ended up with like a page number earlier on in the book, later on in the book. And then if you'd taken a different, another different card, you would have ended up on a different line. And again, you would have had a different word. There's no way I could know what word you're thinking of. Are you thinking of a word right now?
Yep. Good.
Close the book. I don't want to look at it or anything. That is good. So now this prediction has been here from the very beginning. Since before we began, this prediction has been here in front of you. If I told you that on this prediction was written your word, now that would be pretty special, wouldn't it?
You can say your word, isn't it?
Of course it is, because it would be impossible for me to actually write down your word. The odds of me knowing that would be astronomical. Think about how random it was. A random book, random page number, random line. No way I could have known. But I have wrote something on the other side of this card. What was the name? What was the word that you? Because here's the thing. Because this book is all about dragons and stuff, there's a lot of random words in there. It's not like normal words. What was the word you thought of?
Strong hammer.
Strong hammer. Oh, that's one of the characters in the book.
Yeah, Captain Strongham.
Captain
Stronghammer.
Oh, you've read it.
What the next line said Captain Stronghammer.
Bit with Stronghammer, right?
Yeah.
Interestingly, I actually wrote on here
What the fuck?
Stronghammer. How crazy is that?
That's a powerful name.
Yeah, it's never worked before either, so that's exciting. Okay, so this first one is a super simple book test that you can do with the Blockology deck. And I'm going to talk to you later about how you can actually do this with a borrowed book. But if you want to do it the way I did it to Jack, get yourself a book, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to open your Blockology deck. And obviously you know this, but I'll explain it to you again. In the Blockology deck, there is a number force that Phil built into it, where the amount of pieces are always going to add up to 15. So 9 and 6 adds up to 15. 8 and 6 and 1 add up to 15, so on and so forth. So all of the numbers are going to add up to 15. And then obviously, you've got all of your ambulance cards here. And all of the ambulance cards are going to have the same amount of pieces on it, which is 294. So you're going to have all the same amount of pieces on the ambulance cards, 294. And all of the pieces here are going to be different, but they're all going to add up to 15. So these go inside the box so that the regular cards are on top of the ambulance cards. Now, this is a great routine to do. If you're doing like a 20-minute set with Blockology, this is a great routine to throw in sort of in the middle. It's not an opener, it's not a closer, but damn, this is strong. Now, all you're going to do is the book that you're going to use, you're going to go to page 294. So make sure you've got a book with more than 294 pages, okay? You're going to go to page 294. And when you've done that, you're going to go to line 15. And in this book, it's Stronghammer. Try and find a book that's got a cool word. If line 15 has it as the first word, it's not as good. So find a book that's got a really cool word. So when you've got that, you make a prediction basically of what that word is. So I wrote here the word Stronghammer, and I put the your word gag on the other side and put that into an envelope that says prediction. Now you're good to go. So what you're going to do is you're going to bring out all of these props. Give the prediction out at the beginning. That's what's super strong about this. You can give this prediction out at the very, very beginning. So give this prediction out, and then you point out the book. You have someone check the book out and make sure it's normal. What's really cool is you can use this as the first phase to a normal book test. So if you already have a book test that you do, maybe it's the new one, The Daddy by Mark Chandow, or maybe it's the End book test by Angelo Carbone, you can actually still do this routine, and then you can put the deck away and you can just use the book. It's totally up to you. But get yourself a book. You introduce the book and point out it's completely normal. And then you bring out the deck. And I always justify this by talking about how my son is obsessed with Lego. That's why I use this. This is genuinely one of Ryland's books. So I can say, hey, I went into his bedroom and nicked some stuff to do a magic show with. So I justify this by saying it's Ryland's deck of cards, and it's some of the most popular Lego sets of all time. And I show them. And now this is probably not my opening routine with these cards. So they're accustomed to what they are at this point. I've probably done something else with them as well. But at this point, I'm going to point out that each one of these has a different amount of pieces. And that if you add those pieces together, they're going to create a completely random number. I don't dwell too much on adding them together because all of these add up to 15. And I don't want them to kind of mentally, as I'm showing them, add them up in their head. So when I'm reading the numbers out, I go, there you go, that's 800 and odd, that's 90 odd, that's 420 odd. So they can't really add them up themselves, but they can see that all of the numbers and all of the cards are different. Now also notice I'm not spreading past this point, so they're not seeing the ambulances. I'm just spreading to here. Now because the ambulance cards are shorted, I can very easily cut all of the regular cards here and cut all the ambulance cards here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut so that I've got all of the regular cards here, and I say, do you want to give these a shuffle? And I'll shuffle these. So I'm shuffling all of the ambulances. So I shuffle my ambulance cards, they're shuffling their cards, and then when they're done, I spread these out on the table. If you don't have a table, you can spread them in between your hands. And all you're going to do is you're going to say to them, whatever the ambulance cards are, and you can see which ones the ambulance cards are because of the marks very easily. You say which you're going to pick a card from this pile, and that's going to be the page number. Whatever the amount of bricks is, that's going to be the page number. You're going to take a card from this pile, you're going to add all the individual digits together, and that's going to create a random number that you're going to use to go to the line on that page. So, and it's important that you justify this. You're doing this to create a random page number, to create a random line. There's no way you could make them, think of anything. So they pick one of these cards, doesn't matter which one they think of, in this case 96, so they would add 9 and 6, and that would get to 15, obviously. So they bury that into the pack, and that gets put to one side. And then I have them take one of these, and I say, this is going to be your page number. Now, this is always going to be the same number, 294. So you've effectively forced them onto page 294, onto line 15. So now you put all of these here. And a nice little subtlety that I like to use is I say, hey, that page number, that number of bricks, is it less than 400? It is. Yes, brilliant. We'll go with that then. It's just further proof that apparently I don't know what the number is that they're thinking of. But now you're done. You can flash these cards one more time. I don't put them away. I tend to just put them to one side. And they're going to turn to page 294. Now, when they turn to page 294, and they go 15 down, they're going to be on Stronghammer. The first word on that line is Stronghammer. But it is impossible for them to know that. Or it's impossible for you, apparently, to know that. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to open up the envelope, and you've got your word gag if you want to use that. And then when you turn this over, you've now got the word they're thinking of. I mean, that's just really, really strong. And to reset, you just put this back in and you'll reset. Now, a couple of other things that you might want to consider here. If you want to do this kind of almost impromptu, let's say you're going around a friend's house, you can just look at one of their books. You know that you need to go to 294, 15 down. So pick a nice big book off their bookshelf, go to 294, go to 15 down, and remember the first word on that line. Now, you can do it in the middle of performance. So you can say, give me a book, give me any book. This book right here. Okay, let me have a look and see if this will work. Oh, there's a lot of pages here. This is great. Okay, have you read this book before? And now what I've done is I've turned to page 294, but it looks like I'm just flicking through the book, and I'm going down to 15, and I'm clocking what the word is. So now I can say this book is absolutely perfect. I'm going to make a prediction, and you write the prediction down in front of them. And now you're set. Or you can do that beforehand. So when when you're just chatting or whatever, you can take a book, clock the word, and you can write it down before you even begin. The other way you can do this, and I've played around with this in the past, if you've got something like Digital Force Bag, you can have a list of 100 books on there and have every single one of the books as different. And you can say, this is a list of all of the books in my house. You're going to pick one of them at random. Give me a number from 1 to 100. 22. Okay, 22. What's that? It's Sammy Rambles and the Fires of Carmador. Brilliant. Well, that's one of Ryland's books. It's over there. Can you grab it for me? Brilliant. Okay, we're going to try and do something with this book. If you picked a different number, you would have ended up with a different book. Oh, and we're going to use these cards as well. We're going to really randomize stuff. So there's a lot of different ways that you can go with this, but it's a very interesting approach to a book test. And it's, as I say, it's a great thing to throw in amongst other routines with the Mindblox deck. So that's the first one. Well, let's move on. Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 6 o'clock. It's time for a Magic Live. Now today, I'm going to be doing a routine with the Mindblox deck. This is a deck of cards that I bought out through Penguin Magic. It's been very, very popular. And recently I did a 5x5 where I explained 5 new tricks with the Mindblox deck, and 5 brand new tricks that weren't on the tutorial, and I explained how they were done. This is one of those tricks. This is a variation of Gemini twins that you can do with the Mindblox deck, and it is killer. So if you want to learn it, the link to the 5x5 is going to be in the description above. There you can learn how to do all 5 of those tricks. But I'm going to perform this one on Jack. How you doing, Jack? You okay?
Yeah. Unless Michael forgets, by the way.
Hey, he might forget. He normally does, let's be honest. Anyway, I got this deck of cards here. Now, these are the most popular Lego sets of all time, all right? There are a ton of Lego sets. Each one of these cards has a different Lego set on it. And they are genuinely the most popular Lego sets of all time. We're going to try and do something. As well as these cards, I also have this. I have three blank cards. Now, I do have things written on the other side. I will tell you, each one of these is a prediction, but the most amazing prediction is this one. This one here is going to go in front of you. I'm not going to touch it. All three predictions are good, but it's kind of like a good film, a good story. It gets better as it goes on. This is the best prediction of the three. You'll see where I'm going with this in a second. Now, I'm going to have you randomly pick a position in this deck. I'm just going to deal cards onto the table, and anytime you want to, just say stop.
Stop.
There. Now, do you want to go one more? Do you want to leave it right there? One more card will change everything.
One more.
You do?
Yeah.
Do you want to take that card back? One less card will not change anything.
No, I'll stick with that. Stick with that.
Okay, cool. You can mark that place. We'll do it again. I'm just going to deal. Anytime you want to, just say stop.
Stop.
There. Do you want to put one more card? Jack, one more card will change everything.
One more card.
You want one more?
Oh, God.
So annoying. Do you want to take that card back or do one extra card?
I'll stick.
Okay, cool. We'll mark that place right there. Now, would you agree that I couldn't possibly have known where you would put those cards?
Nope.
Yeah. It was a completely random choice, right? You put this one right here, and you put this one right here. Yeah?
Yep.
If you had have taken one card back or would have added one card, it would have been a completely different thing. But you put over here the palace, quite a big set, 700 odd bricks, and you put this as the theatre, 800 odd bricks, two big sets right there. And you could have ended up anywhere, but you ended up on the palace and you ended up on the theatre. The strange thing is I said that each one of these blank cards is a prediction. It is. The first prediction is right here. I actually wrote on this card, palace. The second prediction is right here. I actually wrote on this one, theatre.
What?
Isn't that crazy?
That is
But I
crazy.
did say that each prediction was going to get better and that the best prediction was that one over there. Because you see, it was pretty impressive that I was able to get palace. It was pretty impressive I was able to get theatre. But I'm sure you'll agree that the most impressive prediction is this one. I wrote down, you will not pick an ambulance. Now, I know you're thinking, well, that's not very impressive because odds are there might not even be an ambulance in the deck. But I'm telling you right now, it is very impressive that you didn't pick an ambulance. Do you know why?
All ambulances.
Because every other card in this pack is an ambulance, and you did not end up on an ambulance. Okay, so this is a really cool way of using the Mindblox deck to do a Gemini twin style routine. And this is great if you're doing table hopping in a restaurant, because obviously if you're going to do this, this kind of almost has to be a standalone trick, because you're exposing the fact there's more than one ambulance card. Now, which is fine because that's the big finale to this. So it's not a problem that you're exposing that, but you couldn't then go on and do something else with this deck using the ambulance cards as well. Now, what you could do is you could bring the entire deck out and just put some of the cards to one side and you're left with the ambulance cards. But I typically do this as a standalone piece. So if I'm, like doing, the other weekend I did a private party. There were about 60 people there. It was at this really kind of big stately home that they'd hired. And I did this several times in amongst other routines with the Mindblox deck. It's completely up to you. If you want to do it the way that you saw me do it with Jack, you're going to take out all of the ambulance cards. And my force cards were palace and theatre. So you're going to take out palace and you're going to take out theatre. These cards can get put to one side. And all you're going to do is you're just going to make sure that palace and theatre is on either side of the ambulance cards. Okay, so on either side of the ambulance cards, you've got palace and theatre. And that is that. And then you've got three predictions. One says palace, one says theatre, and one says you will not pick ambulance. Okay, so that's the top one. Whatever card is on top here, whatever card's on top, in this case palace, that's going to be your second prediction. Whichever card is on the bottom, that's going to be your first prediction. So because theatre's on the bottom here, theatre will be the first card that I use. If palace was on the bottom, palace will be the first card that I use. Okay. One other thing, or two other things actually. The first thing is, like I said, you could do this and put these cards to one side. So you could take out the whole deck, show all of these cards, and then tilt it towards yourself. And when you see theatre, you can give these to someone to shuffle, and then you can just do something with this. Or you could put this packet to one side, do some routines with these cards, which are the marked cards, and then put these to one side and finish off with this. There's a whole bunch of different ways of going with this. The other thing to note is if you want to have these cards shuffled, you can do. You want to be very careful because you don't want them to look at the faces, but if you wanted to have them take the cards under the table and mix them up, you can do that, because it's very easy to get back into the situation you need to be into. So let me show you what I mean. Because these cards are long and shorted, the two force cards are going to be sticking out, so I know exactly where they are. So I know they're here, so I can see Palace here. I can see theatre here, so I can say, wow, you're giving these a really good shuffle. We'll go for it. And just in that action, I've put Palace back on top, theatre back at the bottom. Because the marks are so pronounced, I can see them very, very easily, and I know where the cards are by looking at the side of the deck, so I can spread straight there and move the cards around so they go back into stack after the cards have been shuffled. So, with that in mind, you're going to go into it. So you bring the predictions out. The first one, the ambulance one, is put to one side. Now remember, I've got theatre at the bottom, so theatre is going to be the first card that I use. So this is the Gemini twins principle. They're going to deal wherever they want to, and they're going to stop at any point they want. Let's say they stop there. You're going to have this card go face down there. That's the theatre card. These cards go on top. So the theatre is going next to the theatre. You then have them pick these up and you deal again. You have them deal again and stop. The important thing is they stop before this blank card, okay? Which shouldn't be a problem. I've never had an issue with that at all. But they stop anytime they want. And this card here, which is the Palace, is going next to the Palace. But it feels really fair. It feels like they couldn't possibly have been influenced as to where those cards were put back. So now you spread the cards out and you take the card and the card above it out. And what's really nice is you know you've got this right, because I can see theatre there and I can see Palace there. So I know all is good in the world. I just square these cards up. I put them to one side. And this is an incredible moment. I turn over this and I say, well, look, you've got the theatre and you've got Palace. That was a free choice. And then I show my predictions are theatre and Palace. Do not underestimate that moment. That is a really strong moment with this deck. And then you point out that this is the final prediction and this is the most powerful of the three. And what's lovely about this is when you turn it over, it doesn't look very impressive. You will not pick an ambulance. It's like, well, all right, it's not as good as bang on getting these correct. And you go, no, you don't understand. And now I just take these cards and I turn them over and they see that every other card in the pack is an ambulance and everything's examinable. And this is a really strong moment in this routine because they see all these ambulance cards, everything's examinable, and they've got these over here that you can use to do whatever else that you want to do. It's really cool moments. And to reset, you can openly reset in front of the audience. Just put one on the top, one on the bottom, put these back here, put these away in your pocket, and you're reset, ready to go again. So if you have a Mindblox deck, using the Gemini twins is a great way of actually utilizing this deck in a very different way to a lot of the other routines on the project. Buddy, you okay?
Not too bad.
Good stuff. So this is a Blockology deck, and if you haven't heard of this, this is basically available in certain shops. You can get it from Lego. It's the most popular Lego sets of all time.
Nice.
Yeah, it's called Blockology. If you were a competitive Lego builder, and they do exist, if you're a competitive Lego builder, then this is something that you would probably own. The best Lego sets of all time. I don't know if that's right or not, I don't know, but Ryland, my son, who loves Lego, he seems to agree with these choices. But I'm going to have you, my friend, pick one of these, okay? And you can have any one you want to, so I'll just spread them out. Just take any one. There you go. Have a look at it. Show the camera. Do not show me. It's important I don't see.
Yep.
And pop it back in. You guys?
Yep.
Nice stuff. We're going to leave it in there. Lost somewhere in the deck. I don't know where it is. I don't care where it is. But what I do care about is how I shuffle these cards. Now, most people, when they shuffle cards, they shuffle them like this. You've probably seen this. This is called an overhand shuffle. I'm going to give them something called a Pharaoh shuffle, which is a little bit fancier, but I'm going to go a very special Pharaoh shuffle because I'm going to take half the cards face up and half the cards face down. These cards go face up, these cards go face down, and I shuffle the cards like this, face up into face down. There's a technical term for this. It's called a mess. Because when you shuffle them together like this, and apparently I've forgotten how to shuffle.
In there.
I kind of really am. So there we go. Sorry, I was having performance anxiety. There we go. When you shuffle them together like that.
To who, me and Michael?
Yeah, to Michael. Yeah, I was very, very stressed out. When you shuffle them together like that, you can actually see that these cards are being shuffled face up into face down. So now we've got some cards face up, we've got some cards face down, cards mixed up, face up and face down all the way through the deck. Now, I don't know whether your card is one of the face up cards. I don't know whether your card is one of the face down cards, but I'm going to try and do three things. First of all, I'm going to try and sort all these cards out so they're all facing the right way, which would normally take a lot of time because you'd have to go through each individual card and turn them over. I'm going to try and do that in 1 second. Then when I've done that, I'm going to try and work out what your card is. And then finally, I'm going to kind of show you how it works. Okay, so first of all, I sort all the cards out so they're all facing the right way. All I have to do is snap my fingers. And just like that, did you see that? Every single card, all the way through, every single card is now facing the right way.
Oh.
You look very confused. Look, I just did that. I just literally sorted the cards out so they're all facing the right way. Pretty impressive?
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive, right? But now I can look into the deck and I can snap my fingers and I can tell you picked an ambulance.
Did you pick an ambulance?
And I said I was going to tell you how it worked. I hypnotised you. When I came over and I showed you all the cards and I said, hey, this is a deck full of cards, do you remember?
Yeah.
I hypnotised you into thinking it was a normal pack of cards. But if I snap my fingers, you're now unhypnotised. And you'll see that every single one of these cards, all the way through, every single... Oh, hang on, there's one face down there still. There you go, and I can fix that. There we go. Now, every single card, all the way through, every single one of them is an ambulance, and that's how it works. It's just that all of the cards are ambulances, but you were hypnotised into thinking that they were a normal deck, and that's how it works. Just don't tell anyone. Okay, so this is a really, really cool adaptation of a Triumph stroke wildcard routine that I've done with the regular Svengali deck for years, and I realised that it works really well with the Blockology deck. So all you need for this is you need your deck. You're not going to use the marks for this, but you are going to use the Svengali principle. Now, you make sure that all of the ambulance cards are set up on the normal cards, and you bring the deck out and you can show the cards like this and show that they're all different. Now, obviously, you want to stop spreading it around about the halfway point. And in the performance, I was shuffling the cards like this. This is a great way to shuffle these cards and make it look like all the cards are different, because I'm just shuffling the top half of the deck and the bottom half of the deck, and when I come near the middle, I just throw those at the back. So those ambulance cards are always going to stay at the back of the deck. Now, when I want to do this, I'm going to spread the cards out like this, but I'm just going to spread out the top half. So they have no choice but to pick an ambulance. So they pick an ambulance card, and you tell them to remember it and put it back. So they put it back, and you're going to have them put it back somewhere in the top half. So it's getting returned to in between the ambulance cards. So in essence, your stack has not been disrupted at all. So now you turn the deck face up. If you want to give the cards another shuffle, you can do exactly the same thing as you did before. And when you want to go into this routine, you're going to cut the cards. Now, because these cards are longer than the ambulance cards, it's very easy to cut directly to the point where the regular cards start and the ambulances finish. So that's what you do. You cut to that point, but as you do, you wrist kill, because you don't want them to see that there's ambulances here. So you cut to this point, you wrist kill, and you can spread these cards. Oh, I accidentally took an extra ambulance there, sorry. So you cut to this point, there you go. You spread these out, don't let them see these. Although, to be honest, if they see an ambulance, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's best not to. So you just do this, there you go, you've cut here, and you've cut here, and you spread them out face up and face down. Now, if you don't want to do it, if you haven't got a table, it's not a problem. You can just cut at half the cards and give them to the spectator, and you can just take these cards yourself. Either way is absolutely fine. Now you're going to shuffle these cards face up into face down. Now, I did a Pharaoh shuffle, I'm pretty good at doing a perfect Pharaoh shuffle. It doesn't need to be perfect, but it needs to be fairly close. Like this Pharaoh is not perfect, but I think I was one off in the middle somewhere. I was one off in the middle. Now, if you don't do a Pharaoh shuffle, let me show you an easy way to do this. If you don't do a Pharaoh shuffle, we'll go back to this point. If you don't do a Pharaoh shuffle, you can still spread here, spread them face up and face down, and you can just alternate deal them, okay? You want to make sure that you start with an ambulance card. That's important. There needs to be an ambulance on the bottom. And you can just deal them like this, which is basically doing effectively the same thing as a Pharaoh shuffle. But in some ways, it's cleaner because they can see there's no ambiguity here. The cards really are being shuffled face up into face down. So you could either do this, or you can do a normal Pharaoh shuffle, whichever you prefer. But this way they can see each and every card. And you say to them, I've got no idea whether your card is face up or face down. That's an absolute lie. You know that card's not there. You know that their card is here, repeated every single time. But they don't know that, right? So you spread through the cards and you show that they're face up and face down. Now, all you're going to do, the first part is a triumph routine. So by snapping your fingers and dribbling down through the cards, it sorts every single card out. Through the deck. You just say, look, every single card has sorted itself out. And that dribble is really effective, and a lot of the time I'll stop the dribble. Now, you've got to be careful because the cards don't have like with a bicycle deck, you've got a white border on the back and you've got a white border around the face. You've got white on the face of the cards. So if your cards kind of do that, it's totally not an issue. However, with this deck, excuse me, if you've got this deck, it's more of an issue, right? So you want to make sure that you don't, I wouldn't do a big thing like that because the cards might spread and they might see a border here. Don't worry about it too much, but you want to just practice doing this dribble and making sure that they don't see anything. You just say, look, every single one of these cards all the way through has sorted itself out, and you can kind of do it like that. And Michael, you're right there. You can't see anything, can you? No. It just looks like they're all face down. And if you accidentally expose one of them like that, you can go, oh, hang on a minute, I missed one. Let me try that. I think I've got it. Yep, there you go. And now every single card has sorted itself out. There you go. It's really impressive. It really looks good. But now you're set up for this kicker ending. So now you turn the entire deck over and you show there's an ambulance card on the bottom and you say, well, I actually hypnotized you. You thought it was a regular deck, but look, and now you can do the face-up dribble here, and you can show that all of these cards are ambulance cards. Now, again, you want to make sure that you're being very careful here. So you want to, when you're dribbling them like this, you don't want to, you just want to be careful. You don't want them to see face-down cards. And they're just going to see ambulance cards, and it looks like they've sorted themselves all out, so they're all facing the right way, and now every single one of the cards is ambulance cards. And you notice in the performance earlier, I accidentally showed a face down card and I just said, look, if I snap my fingers, I've got that card as well. Let me have a look. Yeah, every single one of these cards is now an ambulance. Oh my gosh, this is absolutely amazing. So it's a really fun routine. Now, I know that there's going to be magicians watching this and they're going to go, oh, I can't believe that, Craig's suggesting doing that. You should never expose the fact that every single card in a Svengali deck is a duplicate. And I understand where you're coming from, but for me, this gets incredible reactions. I remember the first time I was with my friend Nemid doing a gig, Nemid Phoenix, who's one of the best close-up magicians you'll ever meet. And he, I was showing him some of my Svengali stuff. I've got a lot of work on the Svengali deck. And I told him about this and he's like, oh man, that sounds good. Will it work? And I was like, well, let's go over to this table over here. And I performed it over to this group of people. And he'd done a bunch of magic and blew them away. And this is all that they could talk about. And I know it's kind of like that whole thing of, well, what happens if they want to examine the deck? I do this as like a big finale, and then I just put the cards away and I say, well, let's try something else. So if I'm doing a set with the Mindblox deck, this will be the final one that I do. Because obviously also I'm in kind of a weird position where I have to reset that before I do it again. But if you try it, I think you'll find that it is really, really strong. I've been doing it for a long time and it works really well. Okay, so the next routine that you're going to learn, you just saw a performance of, and it's not by me, it's by Josh Birch. I was watching the Penguin Socials the other day, and if you don't know Josh Birch, he's an incredible magician. I've reviewed a lot of his stuff, but he works with Penguin as well in the marketing team, and he puts together a lot of the content that you see Penguin put out, and a lot of the content is him taking Penguin tricks and coming up with unique and weird and wonderful ways of actually using their products. Now, he did the routine that you just saw with the Mindblox deck, and I remember being absolutely blown away. And I had that really irritating feeling of, why did I not think of that? Why did I not think of that? He's taken my own deck and he's actually come up with something so really cool. But, you know, this is very, very easy to do. All you need is the ambulance card and the hospital card. Now, you don't actually need a real ambulance card. You need this. So every Mindblox deck comes with this. It's a double facer with an ambulance on one side and a cutout ambulance on the other side. And if you go back and watch the performance of Josh doing this a couple of times, it's very, very simple to do. He's just got himself a very small mini ambulance, you know, and he's got this this frustration count that is used, which comes up here like this. Now, this is just really, really fun to do. So go back and watch the performance, but I love this production. This is the best production I've ever seen for social media for this deck. It just looks incredible. I showed this Ryland and he's like, oh my God, I want to do this. I don't think I need to do a tutorial on this, because anybody who watches that performance a couple of times will see exactly what Josh has done. Anybody who's got the Mindblox deck that has got any experience with card magic will know it's basically just, oops, there you go. It's basically just a frustration count, and you're just holding the ambulance out from the very beginning. And because of the size of the cards, it's very easy to just load the ambulance behind the cards as you come in, and you do that. You just come up like that, so the ambulance appears, and then you've got that beautiful moment where it vanishes off the card. So go back and watch Josh do that a couple of times. I think this is great. I don't work restaurants as much as I used to, but if I was regularly working a family restaurant where there were kids in there, this would be my opening routine. Absolutely, this would be my opening routine with the Mindblox deck. I would take out the deck of cards, I would put the box away, I'd steal the ambulance, I'd take out the deck of cards, take out these two cards, make sure the double face is in there, take out these two cards, show them, do the frustration count, and then what I would do is I would literally put the box away, steal the ambulance, and then go into the routine. And I think this is an incredible opener, as well as something that works really well on social media. So Josh Birch is a genius. Follow Penguin Magic, because you're going to see a lot of Josh's stuff on there. And, you know, this is just great. So learn it and do it, because it's really awesome. How you doing, Jack? You okay?
Yeah, man.
Good stuff. So these are Lego cards. Ryland, as you know, is obsessed with Lego. And these are basically cards with different Lego sets on them.
Yes.
We're going to try and do something using your imagination. I want you to give those a bit of a shuffle for me. And I also have a couple of business cards, because I'm going to make a couple of predictions. And I have a Sharpie marker. Now, I want you to imagine that you've entered a competition online, and you've won.
I won.
You won.
What did I win?
Well, the competition was to win a celebrity Lego building experience. Exciting, right?
So I build a Lego set with a celebrity.
You build a Lego set with a celebrity. That's what you've won, right? So there's two parts to this, and it's all going to take place in your imagination. You shuffle these cards. I want you to put your finger back and forth and then just land on one card. That one there?
Yep.
I don't want to look at it, so take it out, have a look at it yourself. Remember the Lego set.
Yep.
And then put it back in.
Can I show the camera?
If you want to. Then put it back in somewhere.
Yep.
And pick them up and put them in the box so I can't see anything. So we've got a whole bunch of different Lego sets. You're thinking of one. I have no idea which Lego set you're thinking of. As a further part to this, obviously the competition is in two parts. You get to build a Lego set. That's the Lego set that you're building, but you get to build it with a celebrity. So I went to think of a celebrity that you'd like to actually build a Lego set with. You know, you're finally getting to meet this celebrity and you're going to be sitting down for some quality Lego building time with that celebrity. I know if I was doing this to Nemid, he'd probably be thinking of Margot Robbie right now. But you know, that's Nemid. So we're going to, I'm going to try and pick up on some thoughts and make your mind blank and just think first of all of the celebrity. Okay, just think of the celebrity. Picture them in your head. Have you got that?
Yep.
Concentrate. This is interesting. This is not somebody I thought you would have gone for. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. I think I'm committed right now. Who was the celebrity you were thinking of?
Simon Cowell.
Why Simon Cowell? Like I say, I didn't
I don't know. He's just first man came to my head.
Okay. Interesting. Now think of the Lego set. Okay. It's quite a big Lego set.
It was.
Think of a colour that you would associate with this Lego set.
Yep.
You think of red?
I am.
Okay, interesting. Right, so just to recap.
As you put the pen.
Exactly. That was done on purpose. Everything's done by design. Just to recap. Everything's taken place in your imagination. You thought of a Lego set, you thought of a celebrity. I still don't know the Lego set that you were thinking of, but I made these predictions before you even said anything. So for the first time, what was the Lego set that you were thinking of?
Fire station.
Fire
Hey.
station. And then secondly, the celebrity was?
Simon Cowell.
Simon Cowell. There you go. Proof positive I can get inside your brain. And I hope one day that you get to have that Lego building experience with Simon Cowell. And I'd like to be a fly in the wall when that happened.
Mike, you got work to do over the thumbnail.
Okay, so this final routine is based on a routine that I published in ED-Seat, but with ED-Seat it used the binary principle, while this uses the marks on the back of the Mindblox deck. I also did something similar to this in Christmas cards, which was my release with Alakazam. But I really like the premise behind this, I really do. Now, all you're going to need for this are the 26 regular cards. You don't need the Force cards. So this slots very, very nicely into a longer Mindblox routine, because you can literally just take these cards, put the ambulance cards to one side, use them for something else. Or I know a lot of people that do Mindblox, they use them like Evoke and they just use these cards. If you do that, that's absolutely fine. This will work at any position. Although this is really strong and really could be used as a finale. So you're just using these. So you're giving these cards to someone to shuffle. And like I say, I love the hook line. I like the premise for this routine. The whole idea of, hey, you've won a competition, you're going to get to go on a all expenses paid Lego building experience with a celebrity of your choice. It's such a crazy thing that when you actually say that, everybody laughs. Which, let's be honest, you know, we're entertainers, you know, we're magicians, but the focus should be on entertaining people, and having premises or hook lines like this is just really wonderful, especially mentalism, where if you're not careful, it can be a bit dry. So you're going to need 2 business cards or 2 blank cards. Now, these are the ones that Jack used. It's got Fire Station and Simon Cowell. You're going to need a pen as well. It's nice that you actually give these business cards away at the end of the routine as well. So what you can do is you're going to talk about how they've won this whole competition, and they're shuffling the cards as you're explaining that they're going to go on a Lego building experience with a celebrity of their choice. When they've shuffled the cards, you can do, if you're doing this walk around, that's fine. You can do this in your hands. If you've got a table, you can spread these out on the table. I love spreading them out on the table, and I'll tell you why. Because of how the Mindblox deck is created, I can see the marks on every single card that is spread out on the table. So I can have them put their finger down on one card, and let's say they go here, I can see that's elephant immediately. I can see it's elephant. So I can spread the cards out like this, and I can say, do me a favor, go back and forth and put your finger down on one card. Let's say here, let's say here. It's a beach hut. So as soon as they put their finger down, I can see the card. I say, look, I'm going to look away, take the card, look at it, and then put it in the pack and shuffle the cards. So I look away, they look at this card, which is Beach Hut. They shuffle it into the cards, and I even let them put these cards away inside the box. You know, I say, right, okay, let's get rid of everything. Let's just get rid of them. So now I know the Lego set they're thinking of, and all you're going to do is work one ahead. So you say, right, you're thinking of a Lego set. Do me a favor. Think of the celebrity that you would like to have this Lego building experience with. You can have anybody. Now, obviously, when I did this to Jack, he picked a fire station and he thought of Simon Cowell. One point to note, if you don't want to use the table, you get the glimpse at this point. So you spread the cards out. Oh, these were all ambulances. You spread the cards out so they touch one. Let's say they touch here. I see quad bike. As soon as they touch it, I look away. I tell them to take that card, look at it, put it back in and shuffle the cards. So if you don't have a table, it's really not a problem. But you're in this position. These cards are both blank. So I pick up the first one, and in Jack's case, he thought of a fire station. So I take the lid off the pen and I say, concentrate on the celebrity. So I'm going to be working one ahead here. So I say, concentrate on the celebrity you're thinking of. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to write down fire station. Okay, so I write down fire station and I say, right, I think I'm committed. I've got it. What's the celebrity you're thinking of? And he went Simon Cowell. Now, it's really important. Pete Turner talks about this on the Evoke project. If you've got Evoke, go back and look at the section with Pete. He talks about one-aheads, and he says when you're doing a one-ahead and they give you the information, how you act at that point is really important. You don't want to act disappointed. You don't want to act over the moon. You just want to kind of have that kind of, okay, interesting, right, that was, what made you go with that? So when he goes Simon Cowell, you go, really? Seriously? What made you think of Simon Cowell? You know, it's that sort of thing. So now when I pick this one up, I say, now think of the Lego set. And I write down Simon Cowell. So I'm now writing down the piece of information that I've just got off them. Write down Simon Cowell. And I go, there we go. Now you can ask them the name of the Lego set or not. It's completely up to you. You now reframe. And when I reframe and I recap to them what's happened, I don't necessarily say they picked a card. I say, think about this. You thought of any Lego set. You then thought of any celebrity. I don't know anything. I still don't know the Lego set you're merely thinking of. I know you said the celebrity was Simon Cowell, right? And as I say that, I pick these cards up and I take the top card into my right hand, the bottom card into my left hand. And I go, right, okay, let's see how we did. First of all, what was the Lego set that you thought of? I always reveal the Lego set first. Say, what was the Lego set that you thought of? And they say, fire station. And you go, right, you've not said that up until this point. And I just turn this over and I show fire station. Really strong moments. And I say, right, okay, but you thought of a celebrity. And I wrote this down before you even told me the name of the celebrity. What was the name of the celebrity? And they say Simon Cowell. And I just turn around and I show Simon Cowell. I can then give these out as my business cards. They can hold on to these. And you've done this really awesome piece of mind reading, but you haven't exposed any of the force cards. So you're now able to go into any other routine that you want to with this deck as well. So it's a great way of doing one ahead. I know on the original Mindblox project, on the tutorial, I went through some one-ahead ideas with a post-it notepad, which are amazing, but this is something very, very different that just uses 2 business cards, and you're good to go. You can give the business cards out at the end, and you can move into anything, and it's not using the force cards. The one-ahead that I used on the tutorial used the force card. This uses the marking systems that are built into the regular cards. So there you go. That is the one ahead, and it is super fun to perform. So there you go, guys. That's another Monday video in the bag. Thank you once again for watching this video. Do me a favor, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Are you a Mindblox user? Do you use it? What do you think of it? How is it going for you? Are any of these new routines floating your boat? Are you going to be performing them as well? I would love to know what you think. Or have you never heard of Mindblox? Have you never realized what it is? Is it something you're planning on buying in the future? I would love to know. And as I come up with more routines with this deck, would you like me to do another one of these videos again in the future? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm going to be back again very, very soon. I'm going to be back tomorrow with a Matt test or a Craig test or some sort of test. I'll be back on Wednesday with a review show with Ryland. So there's a bunch of stuff coming up here this week on Magic TV. But I'll be back next week with another 5x5. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Craig, and this is Magic TV.